She sat on the worn wooden bench at the edge of Riverside Park, her lunch bag resting on her lap. The October sun filtered through the oak trees, casting patterns of light and shadow across the walking path. She'd come here every day for the past 3 months, always choosing the same bench, the one partially hidden behind the old fountain that no longer worked. It was a place where she could be invisible. And for someone like her, invisibility felt like mercy. Her name was Maya Thompson, 42 years old, a woman the world had learned to look past. Too heavy, too poor, too quiet. She worked the early morning shift at a nursing home, wiping down surfaces and emptying trash cans that others refused to touch. The work was honest, but it was also invisible, just like her. She ate her lunch alone because eating in the break room meant enduring the silence that fell when she entered, the way conversations died, and eyes looked everywhere but at her. But on this particular Tuesday, her invisibility would shatter in the most brutal way possible. Chapter 1. The joggers appeared around 11:15, their expensive running shoes hitting the pavement in perfect rhythm. 5 of them, 3 men, 2 women, bodies sculpted like marble, skin glowing with health and privilege. They moved like they owned the park, like they owned the air itself. Maya noticed them because everyone noticed them. They were the kind of people who demanded attention simply by existing. They stopped near the fountain, stretching, laughing, their voices carrying across the quiet park with careless confidence. Maya looked down at her sandwich, willing herself to become even smaller, even more invisible. But fate had other plans. One of the women, blonde hair pulled back in a flawless ponytail, pointed in Maya's direction. "Oh my God, is she seriously eating that?" Her voice was loud enough to carry, loud enough to be heard by the other joggers, by the couple walking their dog, by Maya herself. The others turned to look. Maya's hands froze, the sandwich halfway to her mouth. "That's like what, 2,000 calories?" Another woman chimed in, her tone dripping with performative concern. "No wonder she looks like that." The men laughed, not cruel laughter which somehow made it worse, just casual amusement, as if Maya was a punchline, a cautionary tale, something less than human. "Maybe she's stress eating," one of the men said. "You know, because she can't afford a gym membership." More laughter. Maya's throat closed. The sandwich trembled in her hands. She wanted to stand up, to say something, to defend herself. But the words wouldn't come. They never came. Instead, she sat frozen, tears burning behind her eyes as 5 strangers dissected her body, her choices, her entire existence, as if she couldn't hear every word. "Honestly, it's just sad," the blonde woman said, her voice softening into something worse than mockery. Pity. Like, doesn't she care about herself at all? The group moved on eventually, their laughter fading into the distance. But Maya remained on that bench, the sandwich now in the trash beside her, her hands shaking so badly she had to press them against her thighs to make them stop. The park continued around her. People walked, dogs barked, children played. The world kept turning as if nothing had happened, as if she hadn't just been destroyed in broad daylight. That was the day Maya Thompson stopped going to the park. That was the day she stopped going anywhere she didn't absolutely have to be, and that was the day something inside her began to die. Chapter 2. For 2 months, Maya existed in a fog. Work, home, nothing in between. She stopped eating lunch altogether because eating reminded her of that day, of those words, of the way they'd looked at her like she was a problem that needed solving. She lost weight, but not in any healthy way. She was disappearing, but not into invisibility this time, into nothingness. Her supervisor at the nursing home noticed. Mrs. Chen was a small Chinese woman in her 60s who rarely smiled but missed nothing. She found Maya crying in the supply closet one December afternoon, surrounded by bottles of bleach and industrial soap. "What happened to you?" Mrs. Chen asked, her voice gentle in a way Maya hadn't heard in so long it almost broke her completely. Maya shook her head, unable to speak. Mrs. Chen sat down on an upturned bucket, her body language making it clear she wasn't leaving until Maya talked. So Maya told her. Everything. The park, the joggers, the words that had carved themselves into her skin like brands. And Mrs. Chen listened without interrupting, without offering empty reassurances, without telling Maya it didn't matter what other people thought. When Maya finished, Mrs. Chen was quiet for a long moment. Then she said something Maya would never forget. You know what your problem is? You think their opinion of you is more real than your opinion of yourself. You've given them power they don't deserve, and now you're dying because of it. Maya looked up, startled by the bluntness. I'm serious, Mrs. Chen continued. You're dying. Maybe not today, maybe not next month. But you're choosing death over life because 5 strangers were cruel. And that's the real tragedy. Not what they said, but what you believed. Mrs. Chen stood up, brushing imaginary dust from her scrubs. Tomorrow is my day off. Meet me at Riverside Park, 10 in the morning, same bench where it happened. And we're going to start fixing this. I can't go back there, Maya whispered. I know, that's exactly why you have to. Mrs. Chen walked to the door, then paused. The world is full of people who will try to make you small, Maya. But you don't have to cooperate with them. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. Don't make me come find you. That night, Maya barely slept. The thought of returning to that park filled her with a dread so physical it made her nauseous. But something in Mrs. Chen's words had planted itself in her mind like a seed. You're choosing death over life. Was that true? Had she really given up that completely? At 9:45 the next morning, Maya stood at the entrance to Riverside Park, her heart hammering so hard she could hear it in her ears. Every instinct screamed at her to turn around, to go home, to stay safe in her small, invisible life. But then she saw Mrs. Chen sitting on the bench, the same bench, waiting, and somehow Maya's feet started moving forward. Chapter 3. Mrs. Chen didn't baby her. There were no motivational speeches, no empty affirmations. Instead, she handed Maya a pair of walking shoes, worn but sturdy, and said, We walk. Every day. Not to lose weight, not to look like those people, but to remind your body that it's still alive. They started slow, once around the park. Maya's lungs burned, her legs ached, and shame colored every step. People stared. Some smiled with genuine kindness. Others looked with that same mixture of pity and judgment she'd seen on the joggers' faces. But Mrs. Chen walked beside her, steady and unbothered, as if Maya's struggle was the most normal thing in the world. Tell me about who you were before, Mrs. Chen said on their third walk. Before the world taught you to hate yourself. Maya didn't want to remember, but Mrs. Chen waited, patient and relentless, until the words started coming. She'd been a dancer once in high school. Nothing professional, just the school musicals, community theater. She'd loved the way movement could tell stories, the way her body could express things her voice couldn't. She'd been confident then, not because she was thin, but because she'd known who she was. So what happened? Mrs. Chen asked. Life happened. College didn't work out, money ran out. Her mother got sick, jobs were hard to find. Food was comfort when everything else was falling apart. And somewhere in the survival of it all, Maya had stopped being a person with dreams and became just a body taking up space. A body the world seemed to resent. Mrs. Chen nodded like she'd heard this story before. You let circumstances define you, and then you let cruel people confirm what circumstances suggested. Now we undo that. Not quickly, not easily, but completely. Over the following weeks, something began to shift. The walks became longer. Mrs. Chen added gentle stretching, then bodyweight exercises. Nothing dramatic, nothing performative, just consistent effort. But more importantly, Mrs. Chen talked to Maya like she mattered, asked her opinions, challenged her assumptions, reminded her day after day that her worth wasn't contingent on her weight or her bank account or anyone's approval. The body follows the mind, Mrs. Chen said one January morning as they stretched by the fountain. You're not transforming your body first. You're transforming your belief about who you deserve to be. The body is just catching up. Maya started to notice changes, not in the mirror, though those came too eventually, but in the way she held herself, the way she could meet people's eyes, the way silence no longer felt like judgment, but like peace, She started eating again. Real food, because Mrs. Chen taught her that nourishment wasn't the enemy. Shame was. By March, Maya was walking 5 miles a day. By April, she was jogging short distances. By May, she barely recognized herself. Not because she was thin now, though she was healthier, but because the woman looking back from the mirror had light in her eyes again, had presence, had power. And then, on a Tuesday morning in early June, Maya saw them. The joggers, the same 5 people who had destroyed her 8 months ago. They were stretching by the fountain, laughing, perfect as ever. And every instinct in Maya's body screamed at her to run, to hide, to disappear. But Mrs. Chen's hand found hers and squeezed. "You're not that woman anymore," Mrs. Chen whispered. "Show them who you've become." Chapter 4. Maya didn't confront them with words. She didn't need to. She simply began her run, the same route they were taking, her stride confident and strong. And slowly, inevitably, they noticed her. The blonde woman saw her first, did a double take, whispered something to the others. They all looked. And in their eyes, Maya saw the confusion, the attempt to place her, the slow dawning recognition. "Wait," one of the men said, loud enough for Maya to hear. "Is that the woman from last year? The one who was—" He didn't finish. Didn't need to. They all remembered. The moment hung there, crystalline and sharp. Maya kept running, her breathing steady, her body moving with a grace she'd forgotten she possessed. She passed them, not slowly, not struggling, but with the ease of someone who had reclaimed herself. She heard them behind her, their pace quickening as if to prove something. But Maya didn't speed up, didn't slow down, just maintained her rhythm, running her race, living her life. And when she finished her loop and came back to where Mrs. Chen waited, the joggers were there too, catching their breath, their earlier confidence replaced by something else. Uncertainty. Maybe even shame. The blonde woman approached. Her face was different now, humbled. "Excuse me," she said quietly. "I don't know if you remember, but last fall I said some really terrible things to you, and I just wanted to say I'm sorry. That was cruel and uncalled for, and I've thought about it more times than you know." Maya looked at her. Really looked, and she saw what she'd missed before. The woman's expensive running gear couldn't hide the insecurity in her eyes. The perfectly sculpted body couldn't mask the desperation for validation. This woman was just as trapped as Maya had been, just in a different cage. "I remember," Maya said simply. Her voice was calm, steady. No anger, no bitterness, just truth. "Your words hurt me more than you can imagine. They almost destroyed me. But they didn't, because I learned something you apparently haven't yet. My worth isn't determined by your approval, or anyone's. I matter because I exist, and so do you. Maybe one day you'll believe that about yourself and stop needing to tear others down to feel tall." The woman's eyes filled with tears. She nodded, unable to speak, and walked away. The others followed, subdued, changed by an encounter they hadn't expected to have. Mrs. Chen stood and put her arm around Maya's shoulders. "I'm proud of you." "I'm proud of me too," Maya said. And for the first time in longer than she could remember, she meant it with her whole heart. Maya Thompson still goes to Riverside Park every morning. She still sits on that same bench sometimes, eating her lunch in peace. But now people see her, really see her. Not because she's thin or wealthy or perfect, but because she carries herself like someone who knows her worth. She started a walking group at the nursing home for other staff members who needed a friend, a witness, someone who understood what it meant to rebuild yourself from ashes. Mrs. Chen walks with them sometimes, always in the back, always quiet, always making sure no one gets left behind. The joggers still run their routes. Sometimes Maya sees them. They nod now, respectful. Some have even joined her walking group on occasion, learning what Maya learned. That transformation isn't about becoming someone else. It's about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. Maya's body is different now, yes. Stronger, healthier. But that was never the real change. The real change happened inside. In the moment she chose to believe she was worth fighting for. In the moment she stopped giving cruel people the power to define her. In the moment she stood up and said, not with words, but with her very existence, I matter. And on quiet mornings when the park is still and the light filters through the oak trees just right, Maya sometimes closes her eyes and feels it. The presence of everyone who has ever been made to feel small, invisible, less than. She feels their pain, their struggle, their potential, and she sends out a silent message to all of them. You are not what happened to you. You are not what they said about you. You are not your circumstances or your body or your bank account. You are the choices you make after the world breaks you. You are the courage to keep walking when everything in you wants to quit. You are the quiet power of refusing to disappear, and you matter. God, you matter so much. That's the truth Maya learned on that bench, the truth that saved her life. And it's the truth she carries with her now, every single day, like a torch in the darkness, for herself and for everyone still searching for the light.